Hello and welcome to Network News. Today we've got some very exciting news coming from the West Coast Mainline, as Lumo has finally confirmed the launch date for its new open access service between London and Stirling, which promises to provide a new low-cost rail option for people travelling between London, the North West and Scotland. Being an open access operator means they're not officially contracted by the government to run these services, unlike most trains in the country, and will instead operate on an entirely for-profit basis with no government support. In order to operate such a service, they must first receive approval from the Office of Rail and Road for the necessary track access rights to run their trains along the network, as well as paying track access fees to cover the maintenance cost caused by running the additional trains. The application for these rights was originally approved in March 2024 under an operator known as Grand Union, before the rights were later sold to First Group in September 2024 to be operated under their Lumo brand. This follows the success of Lumo's operation along the East Coast Mainline, which commenced in October 2021, running between London and Edinburgh, with some services later being extended through to Glasgow Queen Street in December 2025. Lumo's business model involves operating trains with a single seating class to provide low fares, with a journey on this new route between London and Stirling starting at just £29.90, a price which can be reduced even further by use of a rail card. In order to operate the service, they're using second-hand Class 222s from East Midlands Railway, which have been modified to be 6 carriages long and fitted out in Lumo's striking blue livery. On the inside, the former first class section has been ripped out to be replaced with newer standard class seating, similar to that fitted to the refurbished 221s, though the interior of the rest of the train is remaining largely unchanged. This means that although it's all one class, there will be 2 distinct seating styles throughout the train. I wonder which will be more comfortable. Other elements of the refurbishment programme have included the installation of stop-start engine technology to reduce idling while stationary, as well as new carpets, better CCTV systems and improved Wi-Fi connectivity. The use of diesel traction on a route which is 100% electrified has raised a few eyebrows, but First Group has explained that they were the only trains available on short notice, as well as how their track access arrangement stipulates that 222s must be used, since power supply shortages in the overhead wires limits the number of electric trains that can run along the line. Longer term, Lumo have said they hope to get around this problem through use of battery electric units from Hitachi, though they won't be placing an order for these new trains unless their track access agreement is extended, as it is currently set to expire in 2030. The route itself covers about 400 miles and will see Lumo operating 4 trains a day in each direction between London and Stirling, calling at Milton Keynes, Nuneaton, Crewe, Preston, Carlisle, Lockerbie and Motherwell, before serving some more localised stations in the central belt at Whifflet, Greenfolds and Larbert, before finally arriving into Stirling. Notably for Whifflet and Greenfolds, this will be the first time they've seen direct rail services to and from London. The total journey time will be in the region of 6 hours, though it's worth noting that this varies quite a bit, and that not all trains will stop at all the stations listed. These journey times are quite conservative, with some schedules including very long dwell times in order to fit around the existing service pattern on the West Coast Mainline, with the timetable being further complicated by the use of diesel traction, which has slower acceleration, combined with the lack of tilting, which limits the train's top speed to 110 miles an hour along most of the route. The result of this is that in many instances, the quickest way to get from Stirling to London is now to use the new Lumo service between Stirling and either Motherwell or Carlisle before switching to an Avanti train the rest of the way, as this actually overtakes the new Lumo service, though it's worth noting that doing so will end up costing you more money. Speaking of which, when will the service actually start? Well, Lumo have confirmed the start date for the new operation will be the 25th of May, with the first train leaving Stirling at 8:50 in the morning before returning back the other way, with the first departure from London being at 4:36 p.m. Initially, the service will consist of just 1 train per day, with this gradually being ramped up over the coming months as more and more units complete their refurbishment before the full timetable goes online by the 27th of July. Stuart Jones, Managing Director of First Rail Open Access, said, "This is a very exciting moment in our journey to launching a pioneering new service for the West Coast. Customers can look forward to simple, low-cost fares with an excellent experience on our services between Scotland, the northwest of England and London." This isn't the end of Lumo's ambitions either, as they do also have approval to run new routes between London and Wales, as well as active applications for other routes across the country, but we'll save the details of those for a future video, so subscribe if you want to see that. I have to say that I'm very excited about the prospect of a new Lumo service along the West Coast Mainline, as the current fares along this route are far too high unless you're able to get your hands on some cheap tickets such as an Avanti Superfare. I'll definitely be making a trip to Stirling to ride the first train, and will release a video on my vlogs channel when I do, so stay tuned for that as well. It's a shame that the journey times will be so long, but unfortunately that's somewhat an inevitable consequence of trying to run additional trains on what is already the busiest mixed traffic railway in Europe. Given the capacity constraints on the West Coast Mainline, there's a solid argument that this service shouldn't have been given the go-ahead, especially as Avanti actually had to sacrifice a few paths in order to make room for it. But with that said, I'm glad it has gone ahead, as the cheap fares will make a world of difference for long distance travel along the West Coast Mainline. What are your thoughts on Lumo's new service along the West Coast Mainline? Will you be taking a ride on it? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to Network News for more updates like this, and until next time, thanks for watching.